This is the adidas Fussballliebe, which is the official match ball for the Euro 2024 in Germany. And in today's video, I'll tell you what's new about it, what's also not necessarily so new about it, and of course, go over what it feels to play with on the pitch. And of course, as always, if you just want to buy it right now, there's a link to Unisport right up there or in the description. Lass uns tanzen. So, Fussballliebe. What is up with that? Well, the word means a love of football in German, and the love of the game is also what the design here tries to capture. According to the official press release, the design on Fussballliebe represents the movement of the ball and the energy of the game throughout prominent black wing shapes, accentuated with colorful edges and curves and dots. Okay, so energy of the game for you right there. Obviously. Now, of course, also the colors here represent the vibrance that the different nations bring to the tournament. And of course, there's also, probably my favorite detail, this top-down outline view of the different stadiums that will host all the games during the Euros. So of course, the design is pretty new, but there's also a rather important change on Fussballliebe that we need to talk about. And that is the tech. See, just like most other of the most recent match balls made for the Euros, Fussballliebe is based more or less on the World Cup ball from 2022. And I haven't really learned how to properly pronounce the name without butchering it hard, so we'll just call it the World Cup ball from 2022. Rihla.
No! God, please!
But anyways, Fussballliebe also keeps the same so-called CTR core, which is a specially designed carcass offering great rebound, but also giving a nice consistency when it comes to shape and air retention. Also, of course, as you can see here, adidas have still worked with these 20 triangular, almost sail-like panel designs here. That's the same. But unlike on the World Cup ball, adidas have actually changed the shape and the size and the amount of the debossed areas on Fussballliebe. And you can tell. See, on the World Cup ball, you had these debossed, almost arrow diamond-shaped little grooves here, whereas on Fussballliebe, adidas have, well, they've completely scrapped that and just made a new pattern that almost looked like golf ball dimples, you know, little round circular almost dots into the ball. And you also have these curved channels, let's call them channels for lack of a better word, on the outside of the panels. Which, to be fair, remind me quite a lot of the aerosculpt grooves that we see on the Nike Flight. But I guess if research has shown that it works there, it probably also works here. But the reason adidas have really worked so much with the debossed areas is to increase the flight speed of the ball by lowering the so-called drag. And I am not a physicist, so bear with me here. But the way it works is that if you have a smooth football, like the team guys, traveling through the air, when it meets the air is then pushed up and over the ball. But because there's not much dragging it, the air just continues. It doesn't follow back down behind the ball. That happens here and it happens here. So that leaves a bit of a vacuum immediately behind the ball, and that actually creates a bit of a drag that slows down the ball's speed. Whereas on Fussballliebe, or any ball that has a pretty grooved, debossed texture on it, when the ball meets the air starts to travel over the ball as the ball is spinning. It kind of drags the air up over the ball, but also down behind the ball, creating a smaller vacuum and thus reducing the speed a little less compared to the smoother football. So it does sound a little counterintuitive, but I guess grooves equals speed. At least with everything else equal. So, physics, eh? But Jay, all this physics mumbo-jumbo is well and good, and the ball looks cool and all that, but how does it feel and perform on the pitch? That's what really matters, right? Well, the TLDR is that it's probably somewhat of a combination between the Champions League finale balls and the World Cup 22 ball. Somewhere in between, which is pretty nice. The long version is that it still feels almost soft and slightly spongy to the touch, to the point where I think it's a bit more elegant and maybe also a bit more gentle than, for instance, the Nike Flight ball that has a bit more of a raw and direct initial touch to it. Fussballliebe feels a bit more mellow, I would say, on the foot. I'll definitely also say that it's nice to really strike with power without ever feeling that you're hitting it hard too much. Put it this way, it feels as if the power transfer from my foot to the ball is just very efficient, to the point where I feel as if the ball can travel at a faster pace, at a higher speed than I would expect it to, given what I put in. And whether that's because of the carcass or the what's it called, the precision shell or whatever, it's, I don't know, it feels good. And if I have to compare, I do think that Fussballliebe feels ever so slightly more lively, a bit more energetic spring to it compared to the World Cup 22 and especially the Champions League finale balls. You know, that's great if you like a lively football, but on the other hand, I don't feel it has the same amount of, solidity and body and weight to it as, for instance, a Nike Flight or a Select Brilliant Super. It's still a pretty reliable ball, but definitely on the slightly more fun, entertaining, lively side of things. But I would still trust to play with it in a match. It's just something to keep in mind depending on what you like in a football. Now, as for texture on the ball, it's probably closest to those Adidas UCL Finale balls, where you have that micro texturing with the little stars, except for here, they are little Adidas logos, which is pretty cool. But it's a really nice texturing because it adds this really well-balanced grip that fills me with confidence in the sense that I feel I can manipulate the ball even with little touches, especially even in the rain, but without it ever feeling too sticky, too grippy. That's nice. And it moves. On the ground, it moves.
However, just like the World Cup ball, Adidas measured it to be more consistently precise with less variety in its flight pattern compared to earlier match balls, which is probably true when they use Adidas's robotic leg, but not as much when it's me shooting. So, no top corner bangers for me today out of the 15 shots I took. Sorry, guys.
So to sum it up with Fussballliebe, I think it's a pretty cool, rather unique looking football. It's gonna grow on me, I'm pretty sure. And also, it's just really fun. It definitely has a bit of that trademark Adidas liveliness to it, while still, of course, remaining a pretty solid, reliable football too. Now, if I had to play with this every season for the rest of my playing days, I'd be okay with that. It's such a good football and easily my favorite Adidas ball at the moment, I'll say. Now, of course, there is the price. It's 150 euros, which it is what it is. Most top match balls are 150 euros-ish these days, but apart from that, it's a really, really good football. Is it the very best on the market? Probably no, for me. I mean, the Select Brilliant Super is still around, but this one, Fussballliebe, is definitely up there among the best, most enjoyable footballs for me. But guys, what do you think? As always, let me know in the comment section right down below. You can talk characteristics, performance, looks, naming, all that stuff. If you just want to buy the ball, of course, the link to Unisport is right over there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on while you're at it. And if you just want to learn some cool skills to do, maybe with your new football, who knows, hit the playlist in the bottom corner right down there. With those words, I'll be signing off. Cheers!